Welcome back. I'm Wavepunk, and this is day 93 of producing for a year. Today we are working on our fresh new chiptune track that we just finished writing the counterpoint and the melody for yesterday. And today we're going to try and kind of fill out the track's ensemble a little bit and also begin arranging it a little bit. The first thing we did was change up the sound of our accompaniment track, the kind of Albertia style arpeggios that are filling out the chords underneath our melodies. Right now they're square waves and they sound really similar to the melody, and I think it would be nice to have a little bit of differentiation here. So I switched them to triangle and see what that sounds like. I like this differentiation, but I do want it to have a little bit more body to it, so I duplicate the channel, make a second track with all the exact same information, but switch this one to a 12.5 square wave and then mix it down so it's not too full in the mix. Ultimately, I like this sound a lot better. I experiment around with what I want to do next and ultimately decide on percussion. Let's try and put some percussion in. Let's build some instruments from scratch with 8-Bit Magical plugin. I start with a noise sound, and then I know I want to automate this volume to fade out and also automate the pitch to kind of bend downwards. But as I'm messing around with it, I can't actually remember exactly what the code is to type in to these advanced lines here. And I end up going back to my own channel. Thank you all for subscribing and for commenting. Appreciate you guys being here. And I go and find the video where I use this information for the first time to teach myself, again, how this all works. It is you put in the first value you want and then the word 2 and then the second value you want. So like 15 to 0, from 15 down to 0. And then in is the next word, and then you need a number to determine how many frames it's happening. So 15 to 0 in 12 frames kind of thing. We experiment with a few values here and ultimately land on this sort of sound for our snare. Next, we do the same thing with the hi-hat. On both of these instruments, we are using a high-pass filter on the EQ to carve out a lot of the low end to make sure that they're only kind of taking up the middle to top ends that these instruments usually would take up. We have our hi-hats jump between an octave every other one to kind of simulate the different sounds of two different sticks hitting the same cymbal, and ultimately are left with this. Next, we're going to build the kick, and instead of using a noise sample here, we're actually going to use a triangle wave and have it pitch down very, very quickly. Another trick we learned from Elite Ferrex in his videos about how to use this sample. I wasn't quite sure what bass pattern I wanted to go with here, but ultimately something kind of along the lines of a drum and bass groove emerged, and honestly, I kind of liked it, kind of rolled with it, just kept it in there. Our first non-directly chiptune element, we add a sub bass from Alchemy that we really like, and then structure the track a little bit, have a start with just the pure chiptune melodic and harmonic information, and then have the drums and bass come in a little bit later, ultimately left with this by the end of the day. That's it for now. Come back tomorrow to see how the track continues to evolve.